Happy Friday, brother.
Fighters, touch gloves.
Hey, man, are you ready to talk me off the ledge here?
I don't know, man. I either might shove you or... Yeah, man. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, I'm pretty fired up today.
Yeah, and it should be noted that I am calling from Wisconsin soil.
This is true. Home turf. Where it all started. Mike Terrali's first Ironman.
Yeah.
On home soil. 3 years ago.
4 years ago.
4 years ago. And now, also a participant in the last year that they will have a mass start. Mike Terrali, you have the floor.
Yes, I'm on the soil of my first Ironman and potentially my last.
Wow.
No, I'm not gonna go there, man.
I was gonna say, talk about prisoner of the moment.
Yeah, no, I'm not that unrealistic. Okay, now I wish I would have broke this story because I am in Wisconsin, but according to numerous reports, I have heard that there was a webinar last night with the race director at Wisconsin, and I think it was targeted for beginners, first-timers, because a lot of the people weren't on the webinar and they weren't believing. And every year that's kind of a rumor that Wisconsin's going away from the mass start. So, of course, that was my initial impression as well, and I just thought it would go away. But I've seen it so many times, and supposedly it's from the race director's mouth that the mass start at Wisconsin will now be groups of 500 age group wave starts, or so 500 wave starts. Once again, proving that anything is possible, even ruining the perfect race. So, I'm just I don't know. I've heard this before, and it's upset me just as much, briefly, and now it seems to be official. So, the reason I think why it gets me the most is because if anyone's ever seen that or been a part of it, it is absolutely spectacular. And we all know that this is quote-unquote driven by safety / lawyers or something like that. So I just want to know why. All right,
Stop it with the lawyers thing.
Well,
this isn't driven by lawyers.
All right.
No way.
Why not?
It's driven by the almighty dollar.
Well, that's what I mean. Somebody's protecting them from something. Or you think it's more about...
No, somebody died in the Chattanooga swim, 2 years ago? Or last year?
Mm-hmm.
It's about as safe of a swim as you can get. Downstream, time trial start. I mean, what's the deal? I mean, it's like... I think it's all marketing, as this is going to be a little bit safer. And the fact of the matter is what you're actually going to do is spread it out even more.
Yeah.
You're going to spread out the length of the course even more for a longer period of time. And honestly, by the time the last wave goes off, it's going to basically look like exactly what it was going to look like anyway 10 minutes into the race if you start everybody at the same time. Mm-hmm. Because the fast people start at the front, the slow people usually start at the back, and everybody takes so much because there's so much room in that lake that everybody just takes their own space, and they're like you literally don't have to touch somebody if you don't want to. So yeah, anyway, go ahead.
Well, okay, so that kind of brings up the question, right? Because I have just multiple times made the argument that I feel like it's actually safer to have that mass start, especially there, because you said there's so much room. And if you're a slow swimmer, or you're very fearful or nervous about the swim, go to the back. Just start in the back or start way out wide. And honestly, if you're that afraid of it, I don't even know why you sign up, to be honest. I mean, you know what you're getting into. And my point about the safety is that that's the race where you can get in the water almost a half hour beforehand if you want, 20 minutes, and tread water and get acclimated to the climate, loosen up, be ready, and then just start in the spot you want to start in. Now we're talking about age group starts So if I'm a slow swimmer in my age group and my wave goes off first, what does that mean for me?
I don't. Is it age group or is it going to be your rolling start? Like
Well-
you get to pick your pick your waves.
I've read a lot about, and this is all kind of, secondhand information, so I want to make that clear. But from what I understand, it's going to be 5 waves seeded by age groups, maybe, like a couple age groups together or whatever. And it's going to be, everyone's in the water at 6:30, something like that. So they separate the waves in the water and start them 5 minutes apart. And I assume by cap color or something like that. But to me, first of all, that seems almost impossible.
This sounds like a cluster waiting to happen.
I know many athletes who have not even gotten in the water by the start of the Wisconsin swim. So you're talking about getting them all in the water by 6:30 and then separating them into groups of 500 and then slowly inching the next group up. But my point being is if I'm a slow swimmer in my age group and my age group wave goes off first, then all the fast swimmers are just going to be coming over the top of me in 4 straight waves. You know what I mean? I don't know. To me, it seems like it would be worse for a slow swimmer to start essentially in the front if you're in the first group.
Well, listen, a mass start is only as massive as the 10 square feet around you. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2,500 people in the water, and guess how many affect you personally while you're swimming? Only the people that come in and contact you in about a 10-foot, and this is going out and giving you a little bit of leeway as far as distance, a 10-foot radius around you, northeast, south, and west. That's how many people really affect you over the course of the race. There could be 100 people in the race, and let's say they're all closer to the same speed as you, and you start at the same time, guess what's going to be more hectic? So let me give you an example. You start a race with 3,000 people, and you start in the back with people who are slower than you. You're obviously going to get out ahead of them. You're going to have cleaner water. Well, what if you start with, you just happenstance to get in a group of 20 people who are pretty much the same speed as you? Guess what? You're going to be in contact with them pretty much the entire race. So tell me really what I don't know. I'm trying to rationalize what they're actually trying to do here, and I don't understand it. I don't know. What I would like to figure out, and this may or may not have been brought up in some of these webinars that people watch, is that I wonder if this is actually a bike safety transitions move, or not. And not something else, and not versus the swim. Is it spreading people out coming up and coming down that helix? Because that may be in the back of their minds.
That huge middle group kind of thing.
Yeah, because everybody comes out of the water at the same time. And is it easier? Because I'll be honest with you, changing in those rooms on the terrace is a jam-packed event. And if they can feel like they can spread that out and make it run a little smoother and keep track of people and let people get in and out of transition and have these people going down, I'll tell you right now, going down that helix is much more dangerous than doing a mass swim start.
Yeah, I guess.
With that many people getting on their bikes just out of the water, knowing how triathletes handle the bike, going down and then coming through. I bet if somebody crashes every single year. I'd be willing to put money on it. So that may have something to do with it, is spreading people out. But I don't know. I just think it's yeah.
You're talking about cutting by 2 people. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it would thin it. It always seems congested, any race I've ever done, no matter what kind of start they do.
I agree. I'm just trying to find
that
some kind of rational within the irrational.
It's just almost I pulled out a quote from many things I've read this morning, and the one is, I was kind of keeping an eye on this. How do the slow swimmers feel about it, because obviously strong swimmers are going to probably be upset by it, I would think, or maybe not. I don't know. It depends on your attitude. But one of the guys said, being a slow swimmer, it was really nice treading water towards the back and not having to worry about getting plowed over. I can't say that I'm a real fan of this. So that's the kind of thing that I guess if you just sort of understand how to handle it, or how you're going to deal with it. I'm a mid-pack swimmer, and both years I started in the front, and it probably wasn't the wisest move by me, but it was so, I don't know, man. I mean, and maybe this is the wrong thing to say, but it was just exciting for me to be involved in that kind of thing. And if that's wrong, I guess then, I don't know what's right anymore. If you can't get kind of pumped up about something, does everything have to be just smooth sailing? I mean, if you climb Mount Everest, is it going to be just like you want it to, you want to have like a heated globe over you, or what? I mean, what?
Seriously.
It's like that's part of the deal, is the challenge, and I think that's what brought up. I read multiple people that have said that was the main reason I signed up for Wisconsin. And now as we talk about it, it sells out every single year. Last year they had to change the bike course because of construction, and this year I hear that they're going to try and get it back to the original course.
Yeah.
Actually the change last year, a lot of people said it actually made it harder, even though it took out 2 of the hills or whatever, because of the main hill, and then just the route that they created made it a little bit harder, and that's going to be debatable. The elevation was less, but it was a lot of people thought it was a harder ride for whatever reason. But the main, they're putting back the hills in, and the part of that hill thing was the crowd support out there was just phenomenal, and that just makes the whole event. And this is the other thing is I told my mom about it, and she was like super bummed because she loved being up there watching that thing. It's just amazing to her to watch 2,800 people take off at once, and it was just a exciting thing for the crowd, exciting thing for everyone in the water, and I'm sure a lot of people are scared of it, and I was one of them. But it's one of those things where I think you just talked about this anxiety and fear, and just being in it and facing it and just embracing it. And that's just part of everything, man. Everything's not going to just be coated with white gloves. You can't just go through life with anything not being difficult, or what's the point?
It's like signing up for Wisconsin and not wanting to do hills.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
If you signed up for Wisconsin and you didn't want to do the mass start because you're afraid of it, then shame on you.
Yeah.
Then be smarter and go pick another freaking race. I get it, and I would tell people who are frustrated with the whole, not getting the mass start thing. Obviously, don't let it affect your race. It is what it is. Move on, get in that first heat, and it's going to feel like a mass start anyway because, like I said, a mass start only extends as much as the 10 feet around you, but in every direction. It's like, I just don't get it. Like, you can't tell me that once you get in the water and get the start line, you can even see how many people are. Like, you would have no idea there was literally 3,000 people in that lake once you get in it and get to the start line. It looks more like a couple hundred max because you're so spread out and it's so elongated, and there's so many people still on land that don't want to get in.
Yeah, and not to say, I mentioned I felt like I had more trouble on the other side of the swim box, which is out in the back, 1,500 yards in.
Yeah, and that's going to be the exact same. I really don't understand where there was a problem that needed to be solved, and if there was a problem, that how this solves it. I don't get it.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to ask you this, actually, because you know a lot more about this than I do, because everyone's bringing up swim safety. It's easier for the personnel to...
No, it's not.
That's what my thought. I wasn't sure.
Educate yourself. Educate yourself if you're listening and you think that not a mass start makes it safer. Do your research. Go look back. Find out when and where people actually have accidents in races, and they actually happen more often in wave starts than they do in mass starts. It literally has nothing to do. And now what you're doing is you're elongating the swim start. Instead of one where people can actually focus on a smaller range, now what you're going to have is over 30 minutes, you're going to have people just starting the race, and you're going to have people already at the turn buoy. You're going to have to cover about a mile of ground. And then as people make the turn, you're going to end up having to cover for the faster. So, for the faster swimmers who are going to swim 55 minutes. Let's say somebody like myself who swims like around 55 to an hour. You're going to make it out in less than 30 minutes, make the turn and come back. So by the time I hit the turn buoy, a slower swimmer that may swim closer to 2 hours is just now starting. Well, guess what? I'm actually going to be done with my swim or at the finish and away from the start by the time one of the slower people in the back waves actually makes the first turn buoy. So explain to me how that is safer by making the course that much wider and having that much more area to cover. And if you want to say, oh, well, it's just less congestion and less no, it's not. Because after about literally 5 minutes in a mass start swim, it's already separated. And if you want to add more personnel and you're going to add it this year because it's going to go out longer, then just add it when there's a wave start. And be condensed, and it's, I don't know, whatever.
Let me ask you this. How would you feel if you were starting in the last wave?
I'd be pissed.
Yeah. I mean,
well, let me rephrase. I wouldn't be pissed, but if I was a faster swimmer, I would think, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to have to swim around all these people that are slower than me that I may have chosen, and this shouldn't deter your race at all, but I chose Wisconsin because I knew that I could get in the front of the swim, and I knew I'd be one of the first, 100 out of the water. And so I'd have a clear path to get down the helix and get on the bike course and settle in and then get on my way. And now if I was stuck in the back and knew that I'd have to swim around and through and around these people who are already backstroking like 200 meters in, I would be agitated and I would definitely be frustrated. Mm-hmm. And you can't tell me that it's safer for these backstrokers and breaststrokers after about 10 minutes. It's going to be safer for them to have faster people swimming over them that are in a hurry with literally no conscience as to, I'm sorry you didn't learn how to swim and you're stuck on your back, but I got to get my shit together and I got to get going. Versus allowing these people to self-seed themselves towards the back of the race and let them do their own thing without any contact. Explain that to me.
I can't. I don't know. And to me, like I said, it's a huge part of the anxiety for me is always going cold from a shore into water and then just having to start going hard, getting 15 minutes of just hanging out in the water, breaststroking, kind of talking, relaxing, getting used to the vibe. That to me is the hugest part of being ready for a swim, not standing around for 2 hours and then just jumping in the water cold. But I don't know. I can't explain what's going on. That was the thing, the safety, and I'm glad you clarified that because I didn't think that would be easier for kayakers to have it all spread out like that. It just seems, I don't know. I mean, this is just like, anyway,
yeah.
I thought maybe, you had a really good idea. We got any other ways that we can help Wisconsin make it safer? I mean, you had a good idea.
Yeah, honestly, I think they should move transition down to the ground level.
Yeah.
Because going up and down that helix is way too dangerous, and it is way too congested. And the elevation you have to do coming up coming up that, let's just take it out.
I mean, coming out of the water, standing up, and then going up elevation. That's not.
Yeah, why not make the 112 just on the bike path? I mean, who cares? I mean, what's I don't understand.
Yeah. How about? I thought of one actually. They could close down the restaurants and the cafes on State Street, so maybe like drunk people aren't yelling anything offensive to some of the runners or something. Yeah,
because that really killed my run last year.
I mean. You've got like 25,000 people sitting around hanging out on State Street. That's a little, maybe one of the people could just stumble into the road and maybe hit a runner or something.
Listen, if you're scared about the mass start, then I caution you to make it up any of the Three Sisters with all these people like cheering that are literally so close to you that you think that if they make one extra step out that you're going to trip over their foot and crash on your bike, then just walk it. Yeah. Just walk it.
No
It's
shit.
be much safer and much less contact and much less fear. Just walk it. And I would definitely suggest you were going down any of these hills that you could get up to 50 miles an hour. That's also not safe. So I would definitely recommend walking down that too.
Walk down the hill. Save some. Yeah.
Run it up, walk it down.
I do like the idea of maybe putting some barricades out on those hills so people can't get too close to you while you're riding up there. You know, because you never know when somebody's going to step on your tire or pedal or hit your shoulder. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, how great was that when people are running alongside of you, slapping you in the back? I mean, is that like a bad thing?
Oh, I loved it. And I needed all the help I could get getting up Bartlow with somebody having me in the back.
I know, man. That's the whole thing. It's the energy of that mass start that just is like, man, the crowd up there, there's thousands of people. And now you watch. People are going to be in those condos overlooking the swim start that have been inviting their friends for years. Come on, this is awesome. You got to see it. You know, and they come in from out of town and they're standing on the balcony that morning, and all of a sudden it's like, instead of a real firework, it's like a, you know, what are the sparkler. You know what I mean?
This is more like one of those. It's not even a sparkler, dude. It's more like a whippersnapper. Like one of those things, like those little pops you pull out of the bag and you throw on the ground. And it gives like one little, and then it's over.
Yeah.
There ain't gonna be like, you know, any
rock
glow
pops
or lights. Yeah, little rock pops. Yeah.
Pop rocks. You know, I'm calling it right now. If they don't change it back, it's not selling out next year.
Ooh, heard it here first.
You could get it behind that a little bit, I bet.
Oh, I could. Yeah, it's become less appealing to me.
And it's taken a long time this year as compared to normal, anyway.
What a bummer.
All right, man, we've wore that one out, but let's move on to one other story in triathlon that happened last weekend, or was it the weekend before?
Yeah, this last Sunday at Syracuse.
At Syracuse, I think she was a woman in the 40-45 or 40-44 age group. So, are you familiar with the story? Or you want me to just quickly tell you what I read about? I'm
very familiar, but I want you go ahead and read out what you know about.
I won't read it. I'll just say, so this is what's going down, right? Right towards the end, right before the race, the transition is closing in 5 minutes or something like that. So there's very few people left in transition. All of a sudden, a guy standing out, the spectator outside, hears like the sound of air coming out of a tire, and he looks over. He's holding on to his kid, I think. Looks over and sees a woman letting air out of his wife's tire. And so he starts screaming at her and calling her a cheater and yelling at her and gets a race official. And I guess somebody finally did catch. Is that where they caught her?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so she ended up getting disqualified. I guess. I guess that was her. This guy's wife was one of her rivals or something.
Something like that.
Age group rival, I guess. And anyway, she let the air out of her tire in transition right before they got in the swim. And he busted her. It's like...
Busted?
I mean... wow. So, she gets caught, and then... I don't know. Everybody's up in arms. Everybody's throwing stones. The whole thing is like crazy. Everybody wants to throw her in jail, and this is assault.
Triathletes are the worst at internet witch hunts. I mean, let me get this all off my chest real quick.
Okay.
If you're one of those people who say that she should be banned for life and assault charges should be pressed, get a effing life. Seriously. Get an effing life. She deflated a tire. Deflated a tire. That's all she did. Did you speed on your way to work this morning? Probably. Well, guess what? You broke the effing law. Have you ever done anything bad before in your life? Probably so. If not, then you're perfect. Then you're the only person out there. I have a strict rule that is I try to give people the same grace that I wish to be shown. This lady obviously made a mistake. I don't condone it. I think what she did here, two things I've noticed. What she did says more about her relationship with the sport, and it says the exact same about these other people and their relationship with the sport that want to press assault charges or ban her for life. It's a hobby. She's obviously in a bad state. She made a terrible, awful decision that says more about her state of mind and what she sees the sport of triathlon as within herself than anything. And she needs to get some help and needs to figure things out. To me, it also says the same about these people who were throwing these stones about like what a psychopath she is, and that she should never be forgiven and banned for life and assault charges and throw her in jail. Like, dude, get a effing grip.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Lance Armstrong, check yourself.
That's true.
If you're a fan of any NFL or major league team where they have a domestic violence abuser or anybody convicted of any kind of violent crime and you cheer for them all the time, check yourself. If you're not perfect, check yourself. If you've ever done anything wrong, check yourself. Here's my solution. She should be suspended from the sport for 2 years, or until she can prove that she has a better relationship with the sport, and then she should be allowed to compete again. I do think she should be prevented from qualifying for world championships for, maybe life or maybe forever, because she probably prevented some people from doing that. This sport is an outlet for people. And I would challenge anybody listening to this to say that they got into this sport, every single person that's listening, that if you've always done this sport for the right reasons all the time and nothing else ever got in your way and it never kind of warped your thinking of how important the sport was or how important your training was and things you sacrificed with personal, family, and work to do this, to run around in spandex for 15 or 16 hours, and that's it. I mean, the sport's supposed to be good for people. It's supposed to help rehabilitate people, and that's why I'm such a staunch advocate of when people make mistakes, they shouldn't be banned for life. They should be welcomed, and you shouldn't separate them from a team, because that is ultimately what I believe helps them rehabilitate, is the people that you surround yourself with. So if you isolate this person, guess what? They're just going to revert back to their own ways, and it's going to be harder for them to adapt and get better. But if you surround themselves with positive people that take them under the wing and take them under their wing and show them how they should do things and how great the sport should be and how great the relationship should be, then who says that this can't in turn actually improve her life and help her do good within herself and maybe even with other people? I just think that we get so caught up in how important this sport is to us that we forget that she deflated somebody's tire.
Yeah, and I also think a huge part of this is reactionary. Everything's reactionary. So if I just want to quickly read what she wrote in response to this, if I may. You good with that?
Go, absolutely.
Okay. So she came out with a statement and says, this is what she said. I was under so much pressure to perform, and I made a wrong decision. I am sincerely sorry for my actions. I don't know why I did it, and I can't even believe I did it. I'm not a horrible person, just someone that made an impulsive, bad decision, and I know that I need some serious help. Please note that I have been accepted to a mental health facility to be treated for an eating disorder beginning tomorrow. This incident has made me realize how much help I need, despite being an accomplished athlete. I have been hiding with this illness for a long time, and although it's no excuse for my actions, I do believe it is one of the reasons I can't make good decisions. I do not expect to return to the sport anytime soon, although I do hope, with evidence of treatment and recovery, I will one day race again. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, she's got something seriously wrong, and and who knows what else has happened before this or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm behind you with dude. I just think that people are so human, and we all do crazy things, and it's just sort of the reactionary to top line. It's like an action that that was made. And, you know, obviously she may have been struggling for 15 years with, you know, sort of mental health issues that may or may not be related directly to the eating disorder. Who knows what's going on there? But it does get a little harsh sometimes, you know. But that's why I like to get as much as I can. You know, I worked in news for many years, and I feel like that there's a rush to throw headlines everywhere, and people then react to headlines and go over the top with it and everything like that. You know, on a separate note from this particular story, which is why we would love to get the race director from Ironman Wisconsin on the cast. So if anybody knows him, we would love to hear what's going on and why they did it, and, you know, maybe if he can tell us, or I don't know. I mean, I just want to understand, you know. I'm not, you know, saying I'm never going to do Wisconsin again. It's just a bummer, you know. But back to this this woman and this incident. It's just, yeah, it's really unfortunate. I think I read somewhere that she was like 4th at Kona last year.
Yeah.
And, you know, it kind of makes you wonder if she made it all the way out to Hawaii or not. Just kidding. But it's like,
Zinger.
I know. I shouldn't have thrown that in there. But, yeah, I hear you, man. I know. I mean, we all go through shit, you know. It's like, come on, can we forgive, or can we give some people some slack? And
if you can't understand how laughable really our triathletes can be, and how like self-absorbed, and how like much we think this hobby is like our actual profession, is basically the leading triathlete website, which is Slow Twitch, where people go to get news and basically just bash people to feel good about themselves behind their laptop. The main article is this. It's like it came from The Onion. Tire deflator apologizes.
Yeah, I know.
And you're like, what? Give me a break. Like, I get that it was a big deal, and I get that it was a big deal to the person that it happened to. But guess what? Nobody was hurt. Nobody was injured. Nobody got harmed, like, in some, like, crazy way. If anything, let's hope that this individual who did this, you know, this is what she needed to do to get pushed over the edge to help her in other areas of her life. But if you're a triathlete and you've gone through the sport and you've done it totally self-absorbed, and you've never chose to help anybody, and you've only done it for yourself, then tell me how you're any different.
That's a good point, man. Well,
I mean, it's just, yeah, just, you know, always look in the mirror, show the same grace you want to show to people, because guess what? We all make bad decisions, and we all want to be forgiven when it comes to us, but it's so hard to forgive other people and cast stones from a million miles away before we actually figure out, you know, the enormity of what a person is going through. And again, it doesn't excuse their actions, but it also doesn't excuse us from showing grace and forgiving people, because they may or may not have different life circumstances that we don't.
Right, and that's the bottom line, right? Is the old, you don't know what people are going through. We're not walking in their shoes. I mean, it's easy to, you know, yeah, it's easy for us to sit here and say that, you know, we're not blaming the race director, by the way, for that other stuff. I'm just saying, it's just a general feeling of like, you know, I'm just curious. I'm baffled. I don't quite understand it. I think that's the thing, is like people have to be a little more inquisitive and get to the bottom of things, you know, and sort of figure out what's going on, and not just sort of take a headline, man. That's just like this, you know, working in that news business for so long, it just drives me crazy when people share stories that they don't even read, or whatever it may be, or just react. The reactions are just unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean,
no
it should be
kidding.
noted that we didn't do this podcast till after we slept on it. Could have been much worse last night.
Could have been. Well, mine's probably actually worse.
Because you slept on it. You're like, wait a minute. Really...
I'm more fired up than what I actually am.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that might wrap it up for, you know, hopefully that creates some good discussion, some good, honest, thoughtful, compassionate discussion in our group. Crushing Iron group on Facebook is a closed group. Send us a notice and we'll get you in there.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you know, I was just on a really positive note. I just took my dog on a walk this morning. I walked by the outdoor pool that was built in the, by the Works Project Administration. It's a beautiful outdoor pool with like limestone seating all the way around it and everything. I went over there. It was 7:30 this morning. There's a bunch of high school kids out there working the lanes, man. It was outside, kind of a crisp morning here in Wisconsin, and they were just tearing it up.
Tearing it up.
Yeah. Kickboards and all.
Slackers.
Throw that in there. But anyway, I'm going to go enjoy this beautiful day in Wisconsin and see if I can get my mojo back.
Enjoy.
What about you? What are you up to?
I'm about to knock out some swim video analysis and do a few other work-related things, and then probably go for a run.
Dude, what we need to get is like an underwater video of a mass start so you can swim analyze the mass start. What's going on?
I could definitely do that.
That'd be awesome, man.
Might have to do that.
I don't know how you do it in a lake, but
I'll look into it. We'll see.
Okay, everyone. Thank you for listening. And I guess that's it.
Yep. Send all hate mail to crushingiron@gmail.com.
Or C26 underscore coach at gmail.com.
There's no underscore, but
Oh, that's C26 coach at gmail.com. I got the. Oh, that's our Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram.
C26 underscore triathlon Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram.
And Crushing Iron at Twitter.
There.
Let it all out.
Let it out.
We love you.
See you next time.
All right, bye.
See you, dude.